guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Stream Squad. I'm Angela, and I'm joined as usual with Whitney and Nick on the couch, and Dan behind the camera.
Hi, everyone.
So we've got a packed show for you guys today, but before we get started, how's everyone been doing?
I got a hair in my mouth.
So
Good
Nick
start.
has been better, I think, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Nick
Yeah,
had-
pretty good. Not too bad.
Good 3-day weekend. Went biking and kayaking and got my first back massage ever, so that was cool. But
I tipped my kayak.
Oh, no.
Fell into the water. Great time.
the hair's still there. Keep talking. Got it.
Looks like buy some time. I should do a close up of Nick while this is going on.
But yeah, it was a pretty good time.
What about you, Angela? How was your weekend?
Mine was fun. I actually went down to Tennessee. The first couple of days were a little rainy, so I just spent it with my boyfriend's family. But Monday it dried up, and we went hiking and got to have a lot of fun. So definitely adventurous weekend.
Dan, did you
With
get
the
outside
rain.
this weekend?
What did I'm trying to remember what I did this weekend. I did some yard work.
Yeah, that counts.
It's still
I think I
nature.
went to a soccer game too. But
Soccer
The
game,
weekend was
there
so long
a
ago.
football game,
Yeah,
good stuff.
I'm not exactly
It
sure.
was so long ago.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. Angela, you want to kick things off?
Sure. So first we have an official date for the event we've all been waiting for. Apple's keynote is going to be airing next Tuesday on September 12th. So that's where we're going to get all of the latest news on iOS 11 and, of course, the information on the iPhone 8. So we're all super pumped about
Yeah.
that, especially to have a date.
Yeah, we're gonna have a Switcher watch party in the office and order some pizza and
Yeah,
take
Nick's promised
notes.
us pizza. I'm pretty excited
So,
about it.
Yeah.
We should
be
do a
good
poll
time.
in the user group. Dan says we should do reaction videos and just have a stream on us as we watch the Apple keynote and eat pizza. But I don't know if that'd be all that interesting. Maybe we'll live tweet it instead.
Yeah, we'll see.
Or both. Never
Social
know.
eating, isn't that a thing? Like that was a thing on Twitch or something now,
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah. So
Who knows?
I'm pretty excited about it. And with the keynote being on the 12th, people are anticipating the release of the new iPhone being like the 20th or the 22nd. It's usually around 8 to 10 days after the keynote.
Pre-orders could start as early as the end of next week. This is all speculation based on historical norms
Yeah.
from Apple press conference keynote cycles, but
So-
should be a big day. It's the big bang for the Apple iPhone 8 and maybe AR and
Yeah. So what's your best guess on the big news?
big news?
Yeah. Anything you're expecting or?
I mean, we've been paying attention to a lot of the rumors, things like the home button not being around, maybe wireless charging. Some of the mock-ups people are floating around have the two cameras, but they're flipped the other way. So if you have cases, be ready to buy some new cases.
Of course.
So lots of micro changes. It's also an OLED screen based on some of the supply chain information that's been floating around. So should be a really clean, crisp image, edge-to-edge screen. So there's maybe a notch up here where the camera and the microphone are. But this is all speculation. We'll find out next week.
Yeah, they didn't tell us anything early.
I think for me, a lot of the interesting things are on the software side. What's coming with iOS 11 and some of the things that we've been testing internally. Multitasking is coming to the iPad, and some of that could be available in iOS 11 for your phone as well. Things like Apple Replay Kit, which we're going to talk a little bit about in one of these other segments. Apple's AR Kit, where we've seen some demos of people playing around with what's possible with that new development toolkit within the Apple ecosystem. And the really cool thing about that is these newer devices will also have a depth sensor. So not only is it a camera, but it will be able to tell how far away certain objects are in the real world, which opens up a lot of possibilities. So I think if these things all align, if it all happens, the way we think of our phone might change again. It could be just as big as when the iPhone first came out. But tune in next week. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have, I'm sure, a lot of news
Next week
about
we're going
that.
to do a full recap. So
Hey,
I don't.
for the record, Hot Rock's in here, and he said he'd
Hey,
watch.
Hot Rock.
He said he'd watch that.
Okay.
So there's one person watching, right?
Cool. Yeah, so next week's Stream Squad's probably going to be all Apple Keynote all the time, which I'm fine with.
We'll break it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's hours long, and you'll get to hear it from us in 15 minutes. So that'll be fun.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So next on our list today, a lot of our users will ask about latency and how does it work, how to reduce it. YouTube has actually released, I believe it was yesterday, a new feature for YouTube streaming called ultra low latency. So it renders your latency to virtually nothing, just a couple of seconds. To use this, you have to use YouTube's RTMP though. So you would go to youtube.com, create a stream, and you can choose high latency, low latency, or ultra low latency. The only thing they warn about is if you pick that, users on slower networks will experience higher buffering times at this point, just since there's less time to transmit that data. But for most users, it's going to be almost real time. So as soon as you say something, your audience will, be able to hear it and respond. So it kind of eliminates those awkward pauses where you're waiting for someone to comment back. They'll be able to comment back immediately, and it's great for conversations that way.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things in that YouTube announcement was an update coming to the YouTube app that includes Apple's Replay Kit. This is a new feature in iOS 11 that allows other applications to grab the entire screen. Yes, I know what you're thinking, and yes, we're thinking it too, as it relates to Switcher, but more on that later. With YouTube, you will now be able to play games from your phone and stream that directly to YouTube from the native YouTube app. Not a lot of information on the workflow or exactly how that works, but it sounds like it should be available really early on with the new release for iOS 11, and YouTube's going to go ahead and implement those changes so that it's there and ready with that new update. So
Cool.
YouTube's been busy. Cool stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. Real quick, Eric just asked a question there, and I'm doing some of the lower third stuff. Yes, to answer your question, I'm on one of our beta builds testing some stuff out, so I do have some of the lower thirds in there, and that is one of the presets that's going to be available in the next update that is coming very soon, so keep on the lookout for that.
So another big story, which actually just broke a little bit ago, is Facebook is now offering millions of dollars to, music producers and
I thought you
indie
were gonna say
musicians.
me.
Facebook is giving you $1 million. But they're offering it to a bunch of different musicians, and this is really good news. As we've mentioned on a lot of broadcasts, and as a lot of you, regardless of how you're streaming, might have experienced, if you have copyrighted music on Facebook, whether it's deliberate you putting the song there, or just you're at a pub or something and it's playing in the background, they will flag your video, they'll mute your video or take it down. And it's been, a big deal trying to get it taken care of, not only for smaller streamers, but also big streamers. They might want to put their own song in a Facebook Live video, and they can't because Facebook will flag it, even though it's their music. So they're trying to circumvent this kind of the way YouTube did as well. And that way they're going to go ahead and offer these big music companies a lot of money to buy limited licenses for the songs, and that way they can prevent a lot of the flagging that's going on right now.
And they're doing this in the interim as a way to allow them to build up their content ID system. So YouTube has a content ID system where people who own copyrights can flag videos that are using their copyrighted material, and then that user can either give attribution through their content ID, or there's a whole process around it.
Management tools.
Right, and it's going to take Facebook a long time to build their own version of that. About 2 years is what the article that we read said. So the large sum of money that they're pushing towards record labels is a way to kind of put that on hold, to give them time to develop that process and that system. So it should be interesting to see how this plays out. It just broke a little while ago. So.
This news came through TubeFilter, which is a really good resource for getting information on YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, kind of the live video space in general for online video. And this is kind of a breaking news piece to some extent. It wasn't in our notes for the show until just before we got ready to go live. So no specific timeline on when this will be available, if it will be rolled out and affect everyone that's doing video on Facebook. We don't know if it's just on demand or if it also rolls over into live. It could be that this is something that's limited to productions within the YouTube Watch app, which is a new feature within Facebook, and there's some shows that they're subsidizing to be produced and make kind of TV type content. And right now it's a short list. It's selected. They're kind of handpicked and curated. So it could be this initial rollout as a way for them to have more flexibility for music licensing within those programs that are being developed within the Facebook Watch app. But Facebook makes billions of dollars, so maybe they can write a big enough check that it works out for everybody. So.
Could you, before we move on, could you just go ahead and do a quick TLDR?
Yeah, so
someone just tuned in and was
We'll reel that back.
Yeah, so to reiterate, Facebook is going to offer large sums of money to record labels in order to kind of appease them on their copyright claims while they build their content ID system. So YouTube has a content ID system that allows them to flag copyrighted material and videos, and Facebook can only really flag and take down. They don't really have any kind of process to make it accessible for people to use copyrighted material in their videos. So they're taking the next 2 years to build that, and this large sum of money is going to pay record labels to, kind of say whatever for the next 2 years while they build their content ID system. So,
Good job.
yeah.
Nicely done.
So our last piece of industry news, we always like to have our don't do that kind of stories. And this one involves our friends, the Boston Red Sox, who got caught cheating with an Apple Watch in August. Dan,
The story's
this
great.
a little?
It's
Can I do the baseball like precursor here before you get into the details?
go for it.
So I go to baseball games. I don't watch it on television. But if you're at a baseball game, the pitcher and the catcher will exchange signs a lot of times so that they can non-verbally communicate what kind of throw or pitch is coming up. If it's a fastball, a curveball, where they're going to place it, whatever. And a lot of times the competing or opposing team will have someone that's monitoring this process as it evolves during the game to try and interpret it and kind of learn their symbols and their mechanisms for communicating, and they will then share that with their batters or someone on second base, so they know where the ball might go if someone hits it, or they know if to swing or not to swing. So there's this whole kind of nonverbal chess game happening in the middle of baseball games that is just a part of the sport. And it's completely okay to do that internally within your own team and to try and pick up on those cues. But once you start layering in technology, things are a little different. So Dan, you want to talk about what's going on with these guys?
So I guess what's happened, I don't know if this has actually been completely confirmed or not, but as the story goes, they had apparently the Boston Red Sox have somebody watching the game live and texting the play calls or like the pitches that are going to be thrown to somebody, and that's come through on an Apple Watch. It's hysterical, and I mean the rule is you're allowed to find that, as Nick said, you can figure that stuff out, but you can't do it with technology. I don't know.
So
it's
there's
bizarre.
a layer.
Their argument is everybody's doing it. It's just whether you get caught or not. Like they're not even really denying it all the way. They're like, oh well, the Yankees did it to us back in 2007. It's crazy. It's a fun story.
Yeah, from what I read, they haven't said yes, we've done it, but as Dan put it, they haven't said no, we haven't. And the way he got caught was just repeatedly looking at his watch, and then they realized he would look at his watch, someone would come over, and then they'd run back out, and they realized that's an Apple Watch. Something's going on here. So.
I mean, it is baseball. Maybe the game was running over. He had somewhere to be. So, yeah, kind of a funny story. Involves some video elements and the Apple products, the Apple Watch. Who knows, maybe Switcher will sponsor a Little League baseball team and get them all Apple Watches so they can cheat as well. But
We're
not going to do that.
Condone cheating at Switcher Studio. One other piece of industry news that Whitney found last week, and she's looking nervous
I'm
now.
like, what did I don't know what it was.
He's lobbing you on here.
I know.
No, she found a sale on Amazon for Anchor
yeah.
batteries, And that sale is still going on, and
Nice.
like I don't know if you can see them in our shots, but I've got.
Ooh, I'll grab it.
Yeah, you want to hold one up. So like, let's see here. There you go. So like that's one of the batteries, and that's what we charge our devices with all the time while we're live. Those here, Nick, turn it around so they can see the back. Just a little. So right there, you can see there's a little piece of Velcro on it. We usually just take those and we'll stick the other side of the Velcro onto our tripod leg, and you can just slap it on there, and it's completely out of the way. So I have a link that for that sale that I'll share with you all. Like I said, we're not getting paid to say that or anything. We just really like Anker batteries and their stuff. So
Yeah.
Do you have the link?
I do have the
Yeah.
link,
So
Okay.
and I think
the-
this actually goes pretty good into our next section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're moving into our strategy piece, and Dan's doing a great example of what this is going to be about. Of course, as more businesses are using Facebook Live, how to sell is a major thing, and specifically how to share links. And now Facebook has a method where you can pin comments live on your broadcast to make it easier to find. Dan, I believe, is about to pin the link
Boom.
to...
It is done.
It is done. So Dan has pinned the link to
Make
the
it
Anchor
so.
sale for you guys to move into. But this is a really great way to sell on Facebook. And Nick has actually just written an article that's on switcherstudio.com/blog that goes over this in a little more detail.
So, Dan, if you can do the screen share on this
Yeah,
post real
I'm
quick.
I'm gonna put up a two.
If you're selling products on Facebook, or you have a business and you want to tell people where to go, what action to take next, we encourage you to end your broadcast with a call to action, to be very direct and deliberate and tell people where to go. But what if you could take that a step further? What if you could take out the extra step of them having to type something in and get it wrong or end up on the wrong website, and actually bake that link right into the comments on your video and make it easy for people to make one tap and go exactly where you want them to go. So with Facebook, if you're doing a live broadcast and you're monitoring the comments from your desktop, as those comments come through, you can monitor them and select an individual comment that you can pin. So that comment that's in this big thread of all the information coming through will jump to the top. It'll be stylized a little bit differently, and it will be there as the other comments come through. So it takes priority. And it's mapped to the time that you make that selection during your broadcast. So when we're talking about these Anker batteries, Dan just commented on our own video with a link to Amazon. We should have made that an affiliate link, man. It's just, we're not making money off this, but we do love Anker batteries. And so you comment on your own video with a direct link for where you want people to go. And while you're monitoring it from your desktop, you can pin that post and it jumps to the top. So whether someone's watching on their computer or on their phone, they'll be able to interact with that comment and go directly where you want them to go. You can also make additional comments during your broadcast on your own video and change that pinned comment throughout the duration. So if someone's watching the replay or after the fact and you're talking about multiple products, you could change that pinned post throughout your broadcast and have clickable calls to action to send people exactly where you want them to go. So this is a really cool kind of workaround for using the comment system on Facebook to sell products and to get people to take action and learn more about your business or what you're selling. And there's a great post that kind of recaps this process on switcherstudio.com. You can go over to the
I'll
blog.
go ahead and
and,
post that right now for you guys.
Go ahead and pin that one up there.
I could pin it.
And what's the title on that article, just so they know what they're looking for?
It's how to add magic selling power to your Facebook Live video. Nick just wanted me to say that.
You can't miss it. There's the thumbnail is a dog on the beach with sunglasses,
Yeah.
and there's magic in the title. So go make some good clickable, sellable Facebook Live videos with the pinned comment
Yeah.
trick.
Let's see, we've got a couple questions, comments here. So on our question about the content ID thing with Facebook, someone asked, if you're recording people singing live and the instruments are live as well, will Facebook flag that down? So it's less likely, because when you're playing live music, it's not going to sound quite as closely as a recorded version of that song will sound. You might not get flagged, but
It can happen.
it can happen. It has happened before, so
I've been at
there are no guarantees.
Concerts with friends, and there's other people that you're recording video with the native camera app or on Snapchat or on Facebook. And I've seen people go live with the Facebook app in the middle of a concert. You know, it's the shaky video, like they're singing, they're drinking, they're streaming, and then their stream gets taken down, and they have no idea because they're so into it, because they're at a live show and the band's playing their songs and it sounds the way it's supposed to sound. Doing a band performing their own songs live at a show might be a little bit different than someone at a church or a cover band doing the same thing. But these automated systems are really fast and they're really accurate, and there's just not really a good way to be proactive about it today. So if you're doing something with copyrighted music, basically our rule of thumb for now is don't do it, or consider using a paid platform or something other than Facebook and YouTube to distribute that, and use those channels to promote it and send people.
Well, you could
broadcast.
use YouTube because YouTube has a content ID system that allows you to, go through an appeals process and have your videos reinstated and that kind of thing. But Facebook doesn't have that system yet.
Right.
That's what they're working on building. So I would say that if it's original music, like if it's something that you've written or it's an original composition, then you're not going to have much to worry about. But if it's a cover band or something like that where you're playing someone who's signed to a major label and has their music on Spotify or something, that's the kind of stuff that's going to get flagged.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. Any updates on the Switcher Studio certified training classes? Those are still in process. We're working on that. No ETA just yet, but we'll let you know as soon as it's available.
And there is an update for the dashboard coming out next week, with some more information on that, so you can go ahead and get in the queue to learn more about the certification program. We'll jump back into the comments here in a minute. Angela, you want to take it on to the next topic?
Sure. So, as everyone knows, we've got our user group on Facebook, Switcher Studio Enthusiasts. We always recommend making sure to join. We're getting close to about 700 members in there right now, so it's getting really large. A lot of people are sharing great content, but it's also a place to ask questions. So we've got 2 questions that we see pretty often that we want to go ahead and cover this week, and this will help with any live video, not just Switcher Studio live video. The first kind of goes back to what we were talking about with YouTube's new ultra low latency setting. A lot of users, especially users who are new to streaming, will notice they do have a latency in their videos where what they're saying their audience will see 20, 30, 40 seconds behind, and they're kind of confused, wondering why it isn't completely live, and it is because of that built-in latency setting.
So to wind that back a little bit, if you're doing a broadcast within Switcher, as soon as you hit the go button, we're sending that video to Facebook or YouTube or wherever you want. And that happens really quickly. But once that platform has the video and they start syndicating it and pushing it out to different viewers on different devices in different countries on different networks, the delivery for that video to each individual user is a little bit different. Even if you're in the same room streaming, broadcasting video, and watching on the computer next to you,
You know what?
it still
I can
goes
prob-
up
I
and
can
it comes
show
back
this right
down.
now.
So actually, Dan's monitoring
Yeah, so
our stream.
if you look right here, this is the stream that's live, and as you can see, I'm right there, still on the 2-up of Nick and Whitney, but I'm talking
so
to
if
you
I
right
wave
now.
here, we'll do
so.
some little countdowns.
So you can see it is, and what you're all seeing, like what's going on here is what everyone else is seeing, roughly the same time. Of course, we're a little bit ahead of that.
So I guess just one of the important distinctions is that live video is live, but the viewing experience for people that are watching can be a little bit different as far as timing, as far as quality, based on where they're at, what their network conditions are like, what device they're watching on. And ultimately, by the time that video gets to them, they're in their own bubble, and what they're seeing for the first time, and they're seeing the comments, and it's still a shared experience. The fact that we can get within 30 seconds real time for 90% of the viewers out there is really an incredible technological feat. And so the individual user is experiencing it for the first time in real time, and they're able to engage in a way that you would never be able to if you recorded something and uploaded it on YouTube and had a delay of a couple days going back and forth in comments. And we even see here in the user group, someone asks a question and other people are able to answer or jump in or build on top of that and ask questions that help build on top of those original questions. The engagement part of live video is really, really cool and really powerful, but the delivery is not necessarily magic. It feels like magic and it's almost real time, but it is a little bit different from one person to the next. And that's just kind of the nature of live video. Even television, if you're watching sports, there's a built-in delay from what they capture at the game and what you see on your TV. If you're listening to a football game, a basketball game on the radio, and you have it on the TV, in most cases, the radio is going to be a little bit ahead of the television broadcast. There's a built-in delay to live television. Some of that is for FCC restrictions to be able to have time to catch inappropriate things that might happen or something that could result in a fine. But in some cases, that's also based on just the technology involved in the process.
When you're talking about live video on the internet and not on broadcast television, the delay is really on the side of the place that's serving up the video to the viewers. So if there's a delay, they are taking in all of those different factors you talked about, like the viewers' internet speed and where they are, to come up with what that delay is. It's, they all have their own formulas for deciding how that's going to work. So
right, and earlier Angela mentioned with YouTube Live having their standard, their low latency and their ultra low latency options for live video. It's easy to check the box and say I want it to be as quick as possible, but you're going to be making compromises depending on which of those options you select. So if you go with the normal latency, it might take a little bit longer for it to get to your viewers, but that allows YouTube to cache that video longer and to have more information available to send to a viewer if there is a hiccup in the network or with their connection. So there's less buffering. They're watching it and it's a really smooth experience. Whereas if you pick the other extreme for the new ultra low latency, it'll be a lot faster as long as everyone has a good connection and they're using powerful machines and they're able to see what's going on. But the minute there's a hiccup or the data doesn't get there quick enough or something drops out, you're introducing opportunities for there to be problems. So there's benefits in that it is quicker, it's more real time. Maybe everyone sees it a little bit sooner, but in some cases, if you're going for quality, or if you want to be a really, really good viewing experience without buffering for people that might be watching from a phone or don't have broadband or have a great connection, having a little bit more of a buffer there, in most cases, isn't going to have a big impact on the interactivity piece, and in a lot of cases can actually improve the viewing experience for the end user. So that was a long way of saying that, but I think it's really important for live video regardless of if you're using Switcher or the Facebook app or YouTube or Instagram. All of these platforms manage video a little bit differently, and we're all watching on different devices. And there's a lot of things that happen in between that can have an impact on what goes out and what people end up seeing on their screen.
And the next question we have from the user group kind of ties into that as well. A lot of people wonder what happens when they stream in HD, but the resulting recording that's there afterwards is lesser quality. And a lot of that goes back into what platform you're using as well and how that platform chooses to store, the data at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, do you want me to take this one, or do you want to go through it?
I'll let you start, and
Okay.
I can...
So we've seen some comments in the user group where users are selecting the HD broadcast option. So they're streaming video from Switcher at 720p out to Facebook. And then when they go to download the video from Facebook, they're getting a lower quality version. With a lot of the major video delivery platforms, you typically want to stream at the highest quality you can, but that's going to be dependent on the upload bandwidth or throughput that you have. So if you have a strong enough connection where you can send high quality, send the highest quality that you can. But once you send that video to Facebook, they still have to take into account what is the viewer's connection. And by default, they're going to serve the lowest quality video. We even had a stream a couple weeks ago where Verizon and some of the cellular providers are actually limiting playback on mobile devices to a lower quality at the 360p. So if you stream at a high quality and the viewer checks all the boxes and they have a great connection and they're on the right device and they're on the right network and things aren't being throttled, that Facebook or YouTube or that video player will serve the highest quality video that it can. but depending on a lot of different variables, a lower quality video could be served. When Netflix first launched, there would be individual videos that they would upload hundreds of different versions of the same video at different resolutions and bit rates to be able to accommodate the different viewing requirements that people have based on their connection and device. Technology's changed a little bit, and some of that's automated, and we don't have to have as many variations. But that's one of the reasons that you see that difference in quality. And one of the other things Dan actually brought up earlier, is this what you wanted to hit on?
Well, I was going to
Is
say
the
that
processing.
Well, a lot of people will try to check what the video quality is on their previous broadcasts by downloading the video from Facebook, and that's not going to work because Facebook by default will only let you download your broadcasts at 640. So that's something that I want to just point out is that you're not going to be able to tell what the broadcast quality was by downloading it from Facebook because Facebook by default is always going to serve you 640 when you download.
Well, what I was getting at earlier, I had a Whitney moment there where I was like, oh, what did I say earlier? I don't remember. What I was saying earlier is that video that you upload, they try and get it up as quick as possible for you. You'll notice, like, especially with YouTube is a good example of seeing this, where as soon as you upload a video, it'll be in a lower quality. So it processes the video, makes sure it's out there and it's a low quality, and then as soon as it finishes, the full HD version is going to give you that option to use it as the HD. So with that being said, I think people are either trying to download their videos immediately or they're watching them as soon as they're available for playback, and they're not letting that full HD render happen, I guess. Is render the right word there? Maybe processing. Yeah. So one of the big things is just give it a few seconds or give it a few minutes, maybe an hour or so if it's a long video, and that full HD quality is going to be there.
And I think the big takeaway here is if you have enough upload speed to stream at a high quality, stream at the highest quality you can. And as long as that's available, Facebook or YouTube or whatever video player or provider you're using is going to choose the best quality to serve on the playback side as it can. If it's something where you need that file to be able to edit or upload or put somewhere else, Switcher does locally save your video. So you can go to the media bin on the top and use that file that's saved on your iPad. And that's going to be a much better quality than what you can download from an online service, even if it matches the specs on the resolution or bit rate. And if you enable director mode in Switcher, you can do the recording on all of your devices so that you're working from the raw files from every angle. And if there's any hiccups or glitches on your network, that's not going to be reflected in that final composition. So using Switcher in the local recording, you're going to have a good video that you can upload and edit or post to other platforms. And if you layer in director mode, you could stream at any quality and still have a really, really good video that you can upload later for on demand. So that's it.
That's a like, again, I feel bad that we keep throwing these really heavy
we should whiteboard
things.
Let's draw pictures.
Yeah, bring the whiteboard. That'd be cool. Just to answer a question someone in the comments I see asked how we were doing the motion lower thirds. Again, this is a beta version. This will be available very soon in the next few weeks, so still doing a little testing on it, but it'll be out soon.
Do you want to do a quick over the shoulder on just like the edit?
I did one.
You
yeah.
already
I got one for him. I made a new one for us. So.
Yeah, so I'm going to go in and look at some more of the comments here. So Kevin asks, what you guys are doing looks great. I love how easy the software is to use, but I haven't been able to get anywhere close to the quality that we have when we go live on Wednesdays. Is there something that we do that's different, or how can they ensure that their video looks better, not grainy or choppy?
I think there's a couple things. One is, I always say with people, the two hardest things with live video is figuring out your network and figuring out your audio. Usually one of those two is where people run into problems. I think in this case it's probably the network. We have a really strong network here, and we actually have set up our own router that we're running off of, so nobody else is getting on that internet. And that's how we're able to stream at such high qualities here, is just understanding that we have a lot of knowledge base pieces on that and blog posts that go into a lot of detail on setups for that. I don't know if you want to touch on anything.
I think
Another
without
thing-
going down a rabbit hole on the networking part, as we've talked more about this internally, I think most everyone has Wi-Fi or a router at their home, but we think of it as an appliance. Once you have it, you're going to keep it until it stops working. And if you have a router from 5 or 6 years ago that hasn't been updated or replaced, it's probably using older radio frequencies or is limited to 2.4 gigahertz. We do recommend 5 gigahertz routers for a lot of switcher productions. That will give you more throughput and faster delivery over the local network for what you see between cameras. And there's a lot of options out there. It's impossible for us to test everything, but we have identified a handful of routers that we are going to start recommending and that we can give a little bit of information for to help troubleshoot.
Yeah, let's just pop some. We'll respond in a comment and pop some links in to some articles that we've written that kind of address
And
this.
of course, you can always email support@switcherstudio.com,
Yeah,
and we
we can
can
help there.
help you out as much as we can there.
Yeah, let's see. Any news on SwitcherCast for Windows?
We're making really good progress on SwitcherCast for Windows. Hoping to ship a public beta here very soon. Before the end of the month is our goal. There's still a lot of work to be done, but we do want to get this out where you all can start using it. The specs or the requirements for this first build will probably be a little higher than what we're going to target for the final product, but we are looking to support Windows 10. As long as you have an i7 dual core, 8 gigs of RAM, you can likely stream a single screen. We do need to test this on as many different hardware combinations as possible and different devices. So it is something we're making really good progress on. We don't want to ship it too early and give you something that's not going to work. It's likely it might not fully support all of the switcher features from this first public beta that we're rolling out. It might not work with director mode initially, but it is working. We've been doing tests here in-house and are really excited to get that out to you all. So keep your ear to the ground. We have a big product update for the iPad and iOS version of Switcher, and Windows screen sharing should be happening around the same time or shortly thereafter.
All right. Let's see. Someone's having an issue with their corner bug overlay. Their logo looks distorted due to making it smaller. What recommendations do you all have for making that come out clearer in broadcasts?
Angela, do you have those specs?
Yeah, I always recommend, especially if you're going at it from scratch, and this is in pixels, do a 1920 by 1080 frame. That is the 16 by 9 framework that your videos are in. So if you start with that and make your image in that, it's already going to be, the right dimensions. From there, if you have to shrink it some, it's still going to retain that full quality, that full resolution. But in general, what I'll do is I'll start with the, 1920 by 1080 as a transparency, and I'll build my corner bug out to where I want it in the video. So then when I go into Switcher Studio, all I have to do is, pop that overlay in. I don't have to worry about resizing it. It's already right where it needs to go, and you can tweak it a little if you need to, but that way you're not, shrinking an image completely down or expanding an image completely out. So definitely start with those dimensions, build it from there, and that's going to help a lot with the speed of adding it to there and just the quality of once it is added in.
If you check out the user group, Switcher Studio Enthusiast, this topic has come up before, and there's some good threads you can search and get some info on that. We've also got some information in the Help Center on our website, so we can grab the link and share that.
Yeah, and we're going to have a post come out on Friday, I believe, on how you can use a tool called Canva to create graphics for your broadcasts. So that's a tool that I use most frequently to create graphics, especially like lower thirds and corner bugs and stuff. So we'll have a post out about that on Friday, so keep an eye out there too.
Cool.
Someone come through asking about Square Video for Facebook.
I've yet to see Square live video, but I don't.
I think with the native Facebook app, there are a few different options. If you're holding your phone horizontally or landscape, that's how it's going to show. If you hold it vertically, you can stream live vertical video. There are other platforms that are really bullish on vertical video or 4x3. I think Busker and Lively are some other platforms that really embrace the vertical format. With Switcher, because of the post-production workflow and the ability to edit video, we've really stuck with 16 by 9 as a standard, and then you being able to use that video for other applications afterwards. The landscape's changing, and we have to pay attention to this kind of stuff, and we are getting more and more requests for different formats in video. Some of the challenges is that when we look at solutions for 4x3 or vertical video, some of the multi-view effects in Switcher or the lower third options or some of the more advanced features that we're building out don't work in the same way. And so there's a lot of things to take into consideration or that would be disabled or not possible within different formats just because of the output on those videos. So it is something that we're exploring. We don't have a timeline for when we have a solution for that, but it's something that we're absolutely paying attention to and something that we do hope to address.
What do you guys think? One more quick question, and then we'll go to our last segment and wrap it up.
Make it a good one.
Cool. Well, this one's from Mark, our good friend Mark Galluth, and he's asking if you're looking to bring someone from a remote location in with SwitcherCast, what platform do you recommend? Skype, Google Hangouts, etc.
You want to take it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't have a really recommendation for any of them. I've used all of them. Really, as long as you can get the video full screen, it's gonna work.
Talk a little bit about the workflow we have with Switcher today.
Okay.
And then we can go into some of those options real quick.
So, yeah, how it works right now. In order to get something like a remote interview into Switcher, you need to get the audio from your computer into a mixer or something. Somehow you need to get your audio and the audio of the computer, so the person you're talking to, into your mixer. SwitcherCast doesn't send the audio to Switcher for you. So kind of the workflow right now is I've got a mixer here to my left, and what I would do is I've got like the mic that I'm wearing, this lav could be in channel 1, and I'm going to take a line out from the headphone jack normally on my computer and bring it into line 2. So I have 2 different lines there for my audio and then my guest audio, and I'm going to take a line out from that and I'm putting it into the iRig right now to bring it into Switcher. It sounds really scary. It's really not that bad once you get into it. Once you kind of figure out the first time, you really just realize you're using a mixer and you have 2 different audio channels. Is all it ends up being. So it really isn't too bad of a workflow or way to do it. So that's the way to make that possible to happen. Again, as far as a recommended platform, I can say, I use Skype and Google Hangouts mostly. They're free, easy to use.
You can also do FaceTime calls from
Yeah,
your
FaceTime
computer.
calls
So if you're
will
doing
work
Mac, you could do FaceTime, Skype, or Google Hangouts all work really well. And there's a lot of other platforms like Zoom or BlueJeans, or the list goes on. But as far as kind of free, easy, accessible platforms, those are probably the top 3 and what we use internally for a lot of our video calls.
You're going to be bringing in a guest, so I would recommend whatever is going to be easiest for that person to use.
That's a good point.
Most people have Skype or Google Hangouts, so those are the 2 that I would recommend just because they're the most ubiquitous of all of the different platforms. So.
Yeah.
And for anyone watching who wants to learn more about that, I know we mentioned the blog earlier, but we do have a blog post on the entire setup. So starting with SwitcherCast and how to connect that to Switcher Studio and going over the audio as Dan was talking about. So that way, you don't have to try to just remember what you just heard and go to town. We've got that step-by-step guide. If you go to the blog, just search. We mainly cover Skype, so just search for Skype and it'll give you that full kind of breakdown on there.
Awesome. So last segment that we
But
like
certainly
to do
not
every week.
least.
Yeah, and absolutely not least. We do a Made with Switcher segment on these broadcasts. So Angela, you want to tee it up?
Sure. So as Nick mentioned, we do Made with Switcher. We recommend doing hashtag Made with Switcher when you guys upload videos, and that makes it easier for us to find. And we'll share one of these a week on our stream. This week we're showing a video by a company called Convoy of Hope. They do a lot of charity broadcasts, especially for hurricanes, and with the landfall of Hurricane Harvey, I think it was 2 weeks ago it hit at this point. They did
Has it really been 2 weeks?
I think so.
It's just been hanging out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been there, I guess.
But they did a big charity live stream last week. They had a lot of local musicians come in, and just do a lot of performances, and they wound up having a really successful live stream. I've got a couple of stats here. They managed to raise over $228,000 with this stream from 5,675 donors total.
Wow.
And at this time, they have nearly 1 million views, and most of those were from live viewers. So they definitely did a great job with this broadcast. It looks amazing. They raised a bunch of money, and it was made all with Switcher.
Yeah, it was a really cool broadcast. We actually caught it. One of the individuals that helped produce the program tweeted out the link to the video and tagged Switcher in it. So it was really cool to see what they were able to do with the product, and really cool to see what they were able to do for this organization and for this really terrible event that we've all been hearing about on the news for the past few weeks, at least here in the States. It's a big hurricane in Houston, Texas. So I got a little tore up the first time I watched the video. It was really cool.
Little misty-eyed, chills up the arm kind of thing. Yeah.
So yeah, keep up the good work. Always love seeing what you all are doing. If you are creating something with Switcher and you want to tag us or do the hashtag Made with Switcher, it's a little easier for us to see what you're putting out there and allow us to help promote it and talk about it here on the show. And this one in particular was just a really, really cool video, really good production quality, and again, just had a big impact. So
Yeah, it was great.
good stuff.
Yeah. Also, join the user group, because that's where we see a lot of the videos made with Switchers that people will share and ask for feedback, and it's really great to see everyone kind of in there talking to one another, and it's been really great. Also, the user group tends to get news before the rest of the world. So one of the things that the user group found out about last week that we're going to tell you guys about now is that we have launched a Redbubble store. So we all have these Switcher t-shirts that we wear all the time, and Nick has this jacket. Jacket's not available. But we launched a Redbubble store where you can order Switcher Studio t-shirts and
Stickers and
iPad cases and that kind of stuff. We've gotten a lot of requests for shirts, especially after we did the giveaway earlier this year. And so we don't have the bandwidth to do fulfillment, so we chose
we're a software company.
Yeah. We chose Redbubble. We'll put a link in there to the store. But check it out if you're interested in owning any Switcher swag.
Yeah, and the prices aren't bad on it. We're not looking to make a bunch of money off merch. It's just we've had a lot of requests for people that want to rep Switcher, and they want stickers and they want shirts, and in order for us to do that, we needed to use the service to make that happen. And there's a couple different ones we looked at. Redbubble looked like a good resource, and really glad to have that up and running. So if you check out the Redbubble store, the link is in the user group on how to get to that. And
I'll put a link in the comments below too.
Shirts, stickers,
but
it's all there.
Join the user group, because then you'll get to know these things before everyone else does.
And we love seeing people rocking Switcher merchandise. When we had, the shirt giveaway earlier this year, we loved seeing all the different, selfies people were taking with their Switcher shirts, or being on set doing productions wearing a Switcher shirt. So definitely, if you guys get any merchandise, feel free to send that to us. You can share it in the user group, or you can tag us on Twitter or Instagram, and we'd love just to see you guys rocking that Switcher merchandise.
I think there was one of Neil at Disney World. We had somebody with a stack of burritos.
There's
cool
some
stuff.
really good videos. So yeah, join the user group. We'd love to see pictures of you in Switcher swag and see the videos that you make with Switcher. So this kind of wraps it up for us today. We're going to jump in the comments and reply to you all if there are any
Yeah,
comments
real quick,
we
I'm
missed.
not going to answer the question here just because I know we're out of time, but Jeremiah asked a question. Jeremiah, email support@switcherstudio.com, and we'll get you all the information you need
Yeah.
for that.
I'll post some links in there too for you.
Yeah.
But Cool.
Just wanted to mention
yeah.
that, you know, just hey, we see it, you're there. Yeah, we'll answer all your questions.
Good
but,
deal.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the sign off. Tune in Monday. We might Tuesday. Is that Tuesday?
Tuesday's the Apple keynote.
Tuesday's the Apple keynote. Tune in Monday. There might also be some fun stuff going on.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's all I can
keep
say
an
right
eye
now.
on the Switcher Studio Facebook page.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot of stuff coming out in the next couple weeks. So, yeah,
All right.
cool.
Next time.
See ya.
Yes.
Bye.